We've seen Batman in many different guises, from a comic book to the big and small screens. The Man in Black has been played by Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale and Ben Affleck. Now it's Twilight star Robert Pattinson's turn to try his hand at making Gotham City great again. He's joined by Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Paul Dano as the Riddler, Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon and Colin Farrell, who is unrecognisable as Penguin. This time around we go back in time and see Batman, who was in just his second year of fighting crime, going after the Riddler, a serial killer who is targeting Gotham's elite. I caught up with the cast and creators of big screen blockbuster, The Batman.
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning.
Rob, Zoe, thank you so much for your time. This movie just blew me away. Zoe, I'll start with you. You're the cat to Rob's bat.
Don't throw your life away.
Don't worry, honey. I got 9 of them.
Selena Kyle's got such a powerful story in this movie. What was your experience like bringing it alive?
It was wonderful. Working with Matt Reeves, our director, he's absolutely incredible and so dedicated to the story. And because he wrote the script as well, he was so in tune with the characters emotionally, and I felt really supported by him. And it was really delightful and delicious to have such a complex character in a film like this.
It's only gonna get worse for you.
Do you really know your way around a motorbike?
Nope.
Well, yeah, you do.
A little bit, but not really.
Yeah.
If you put me on a motorcycle right now, I'd be like...
Dead.
Who are you under there?
I'm vengeance.
Rob, you've gone from playing a vampire to a bat. We're talking both creatures of the night. Are you in touch with your dark side?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, I live in it.
He is the shadows. I'm like, he is the shadows.
It's weird. I don't know why. I've got some association with bats. I don't know why. Because I quite like bats.
That's
I
cool.
do actually.
No,
quite
bats
like
are really cool.
Yeah.
They may have got a bit of a bad rep over the last couple of years, but we'll put that to one side.
I've been trying to reach you.
Why Rob Pattinson?
He's extraordinary in everything. He's like a chameleon. He's different in every single film.
All these years, you lied to me, Alfred.
The movie's wild, and he's very intense and desperate and driven. And I thought, well, Batman needs to be all of those things, but you could also sense under it an incredible vulnerability. And so I started writing it for him, having no idea, because I didn't know if he'd want to come back and even be Batman and do like a blockbuster. And it turned out that fate was on my side because he is a huge Batman fan.
I didn't really grow up on reading comic books and stuff, and so the only comic book character I was really familiar with was Batman. It's really initially from the Tim Burton movies.
What are you? I'm Batman.
But also I was watching the Adam West show on TV, because in England they used to just play shows from 30 years previously and they'd still repeat. It was on every single morning.
Penguin has returned to the environs of Gotham City.
And I was obsessed with it and thought it was like a really serious crime fighting show. I thought it was cops. That was the only one. I don't even really remember Spider-Man or Superman. I mean, maybe Superman, but Batman was the one which really kind of entered into my consciousness.
Whoa, take it easy, sweetheart.
You're playing Oz, the Penguin. Tell us about this version of it.
Much like, I think, Rob's version of Bruce Wayne and Batman, the Penguin is kind of at the start of his career. He doesn't consider himself the Penguin. It's kind of a derogatory term, I think, that other people use behind his back, but he is an underling of Falcone. He's just immersed himself in the criminal underworld, but he's a soldier.
I got you! I got you!
Without the one guy in the city more reclusive than me.
Aren't you afraid someone will take a shot at you?
John, you said you were a fan of the TV series as a kid.
Yeah.
This couldn't be further away from that.
Well, one thing leads to another. You know, the comic, led to the TV series, and then that led to the movies, and obviously it's a new version, of it. It's also a certain time in his life that you've never really seen before, where he's still forming.
Colin, you were in Australia last year. We saw you actually run the Brisbane Marathon. When I saw you on screen in this film, I thought, you've let yourself go, mate.
Yeah. It took me 4 minutes to put on all that weight. every morning and involved a vertical zip. That was it. Yeah, I mean, when I met Matt Reeves, I was just coming off a job where I played a harpooner whaler, and I was fairly rotund, and Matt liked that weight and wanted me to keep it on, but there's no way I was doing it, so then we just got a padded suit, and that did the job for me. It was much healthier.
Did you have fun being in Australia last year, I have to ask?
I loved it, yeah. I hadn't been in Australia since I was 17. I lived there for a year on a 1-year visa with a couple of friends in Sydney. And we had a great time, and I hadn't been back, which is over 20 years. It was just extraordinary, and I love Australians. They're quite like the Irish in a spirited kind of fashion.
Police! Hands up!
Paul, this is a very different Riddler, thinking way back to the TV series through to today. I guess, first of all, are you pleased you didn't have to wear green lycra?
Before I had read the script, I would have jumped in some spandex. I would have rocked a cane. I would have done whatever because I was super excited at the prospect, not even knowing what it was, but just that Matt was doing it, and I think Rob was. But then when I read the script, I was totally blown away by Matt's vision and how fully conceived it was.
What are you saying, Kinsey Moon Knights for the Penguin?
Jeffrey, the connection between your character and the Batman is crucial to this film. We see it right from the very start. What was your mindset going in?
My mindset was really to try to do justice to the history of the series and do justice to the character, to Gordon. And the relationship between Batman and Gordon is really a throwback to, in some ways, the origin or the meat of what Batman is, and that's, detective work.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'll get drive-through.
If you've seen the other people playing Batman, is it hard then to put those out of your mind when you play the characters?
Yeah, definitely. I'm so familiar with them, and so many of these performances are like super iconic, and everyone has their interpretation, their impersonation of different performances, and which I've done the impersonations for like a million, 10 years of doing it. And like, it's so easy to just slip into something someone else has already done. But it just felt really different. As soon as I read it, I realized that Bruce is in a different psychological state to the other tellings of the character. And you just kind of go for that.
I'm dying to hear one of those impressions now.
I can barely do an impression of myself now.
You just hideously scarred.
The Batman is exclusively in cinemas this Thursday.